starting with Harvard. Are you surprised with what Coach Amaker's been able to do in 6 years with that program, especially given the restrictions there as an Ivy League?
You know, in one sense, yes, and certainly I mean that in the most complimentary way that I can. And in another sense, no, because I think Tommy, whether he's a player at Duke and what he did at both Seton Hall and watching him at Michigan and now at Harvard, he's an excellent coach, a terrific recruiter. I think he has a great staff. And us out in the West in particular, he does a great job recruiting in the West. Some of his key players come from the state of California, and he deserves, as his staff does, tremendous credit for being here and obviously being the Ivy League champs, and we respect him a great deal.
Sean, a lot of high seeds are going down in this West region. How difficult is it when that happens to kind of narrow your team's focus on just what's at hand and not look at the big picture?
Well, that's the whole key in this tournament. You know, one of the things that helped us leading into Belmont is, you know, so many people had talked about Belmont upsetting us. And no matter how much you say block out the outside, at this time of year, it's impossible. And to me, our players were very aware of Belmont's strengths, came into the game, and I thought executed what we wanted to do very well. And it was a function of their great respect for Belmont. The only thing you have to do at Harvard, looking at Harvard if you're us, is knowing that they went to Cal and won. You know, Cal's a great team, as you know. I mean, they're in this tournament. They've won a game. To win at Cal is a very tough task, especially for someone traveling across the country. And they left that game, I think took a day break and went to St. Mary's and lost at the buzzer, a one-point game. And again, you look at St. Mary's, who they are, and you just know that whether they beat New Mexico on a neutral court last night, played a very good Memphis team at Memphis to the wire, you start watching them, you know they're a really good team. So this isn't about anything. No seed matters. It's about Arizona being at its very best, doing the things that we do the best we can, being ready to go, knowing that we have to play a great game. And if anything happens less than that, we're going to go home.
Coach, we're from Harvard. As someone who hasn't watched your team all year, what would you say is the main difference between the team that started 14-0, beat Miami, beat Florida, and the team that went 5-5 down the stretch?
Well, I think first of all, and you're probably seeing it a little bit here early in the NCAA tournament, we come from a great conference. You know, Oregon and Cal, you know, Colorado, UCLA. You watch the NIT with Stanford and Arizona State. The quality of our conference from top to bottom was the best it's been since I've been the coach at Arizona. And I think anytime you're playing on the road and playing these teams at the end of February, during that month, early March, you know, these are huge games, and you could play really well and not win them. I think the second thing is that from a defensive perspective, there are times we've been dominant. There are times when we've been really good. And then unfortunately for us, maybe it's a half or just a game where our defense left us. And when it has, it's hurt us in the win-loss column. Recently, I would say the last 4, maybe 5 games, we've played consistent defense. I liked our defense yesterday, and that's the key for us moving forward. We have to defend together. We have to be connected. We have to execute, and we can't have any lulls on that side of the ball because we're not good enough otherwise.
Sean, Michael Vega, Boston Globe. Just forgive me if you've been asked this already, but when you were sitting at courtside, you know, finally, you know, getting your firsthand glimpse at Harvard, what was the thing that kind of jumped out at you right off the bat as you watched them, you know, battle? And second part of this question, what impressed you about their front court play against a team that they were physically overmatched against?
Well, I would say that would have been what I did notice. You know, New Mexico really went at them inside. I mean, low post catches. It seemed like every possession, especially in the first half, the ball went in there. You could tell that was New Mexico's game plan. And I think, to me, Harvard's big guys are somewhat misrepresented. To me, they're more physical. They scored on their own end and did a really good job with very little help. It wasn't as if they were trapping the post or playing zone, sagging off of a player. They really played New Mexico's front court guys head up, and they did a really good job. The other thing that stood out is they're very unselfish and they're very deliberate. They're patient. They move the ball. If you ask me what team in our conference they remind me of, they remind me a little bit of Arizona State, because Arizona State has a 4-out, 1-in look. They play very well together. They have a point guard who can really break the defense down using ball screens. They're a team that plays good defense and good offense. And I believe that when we look at us against Arizona State, just in terms of how Arizona State plays the game, I see a lot of Harvard in them.
Sean, just to take you back a little bit, you were on some pretty talented teams at Pitt, and those teams really didn't have a lot of tournament success. Was there any sort of lesson that you learned from those experiences?
Yes. You can't ever take for granted being in this tournament. You know, I can remember it like it was 2 weeks ago. We were number 2 seed. We went to Lincoln, Nebraska. We won our first-round game against Eastern Michigan. Played Vanderbilt. CM Newton was the coach. And this guy, Barry Goheen, he made like 2 30-footers in a row. And all of a sudden, it was almost like you couldn't believe it. You were gone. It was over with. And, you know, for us, we had a chance to reach the Final Four. We were the Big East regular season champions. We had Jerome Lane and Charles Smith. We had a great group of guys. And we never, ever envisioned leaving that tournament until the end. And I'll never forget that, because it's such a fragile state to be in this tournament. Doesn't matter the name of your team, what you're ranked, the seed. It's about playing your very best and being the most ready you can. And I'm not saying that we weren't the most ready, but like I said, when you go through that one, that leaves a forever memory.